March 8, 2014. It was still early morning in Kuala Lumpur. The heat was dense. The airport asphalt seemed to exhale steam. Inside the terminal, families were saying rushed goodbyes, and the engines were already humming beneath the silver fuselage of the Boeing 777. Inside, 239 people settled into their seats, distracted by phones, pillows, and memories. Outside, the world remained at peace, but that peace wouldn't last. At 12:41 a.m., Malaysia Airlines Flight MH370 took off, bound for Beijing. A routine flight. Nothing seemed out of place. At 1:19 a.m., the last words came from the cockpit. "All right, good night." After that, everything vanished. The plane disappeared from civilian radars, silently. No distress call. Behind the scenes, military systems picked up something strange. The flight had changed course, turned in the dark, and headed to where no one expected, south toward the Indian Ocean. What happened in that cockpit? Why did the pilot change course, or was he forced? Years of searching followed. Satellites, submarines, redrawn maps, millions spent. No definitive answers. The only thing the ocean returned were fragments. Pieces scattered on distant islands, Madagascar, Mozambique, Tanzania. But the body of the plane was never found. 239 souls disappeared into the air. No official explanation, no goodbye, just a void, still echoing to this day. What if this happened today? Would you trust that you're safe 33,000 feet above the ground? Is the truth being hidden, or was it lost along with the plane? In this video, you'll uncover every hidden detail from the night flight MH370 simply vanished. The secret route, the investigation failures, the theories that unsettle governments, and the story of a disappearance that changed aviation forever. It was still early morning. The air was warm and heavy. The airport floor glistened with the night's moisture. In the sky, a few heavy clouds covered the stars. Inside, in the international terminal, the sound of the loudspeakers echoed in a metallic voice. Flight announcements, final calls, gates closing. Nothing out of the ordinary. Nothing indicated what was coming. At 12:41 a.m., Malaysia Airlines Flight MH370 was cleared for takeoff. Destination, Beijing, China. A routine international trip. It was supposed to last 6 hours, but it didn't even last one. It was a reliable aircraft, the Boeing 777-200ER, pride of commercial aviation. 2 massive engines, a body of steel and technology. A metal bird considered nearly infallible. On board, 239 people. Children, parents, executives, students. Stories crossing by chance. Some were sleeping, others watching movies. Most trusted the autopilot. The sky seemed calm, but something moved in the darkness. Flight MH370, it wasn't just a number. It was a living organism, a heart of steel, electric veins, an invisible soul made of voices, lights, and human decisions. It carried hope, routine, and maybe secrets. In the cockpit, Captain Zahari Ahmad Shah, experienced, respected, with over 18,000 flight hours. Beside him, First Officer Farik Abdul Hamid, young, promising, on his first flight with the Boeing 777. At 1:07 a.m., the transponder, the system that sends signals to civilian radars, was working perfectly. The plane was flying over the South China Sea. At 1:19 a.m., the last communication. A calm, almost sleepy voice. "All right, good night." It was the last human sound from that cockpit. After that, silence. Minutes later, the transponder is turned off. No technical failure, no alarm. It simply disappears. The plane vanishes from civilian radar, but the military radar, more sensitive, still sees it. And what it sees makes no sense. The Boeing makes a sharp turn to the left, abandons the route to Beijing, heads back toward Malaysia, then changes course again, flies in zigzags, crosses the Strait of Malacca, then dives into the Indian Ocean. 7 hours in the air, completely off course. No contact, no distress call, no explanation. Like a blind bird flying into oblivion. Malaysia Airlines released a cold statement. "We have lost contact with the aircraft. We are investigating." But there were no traces, no wreckage, no sign in the sea, no emergency alert, nothing. It was as if the plane had been swallowed by the sky. The search began. Boats, planes, satellites, entire countries mobilized. For weeks they scoured the waters of the South China Sea, then the Strait of Malacca, and finally the southern Indian Ocean. But all they found was silence. The world watched in shock. How could a Boeing 777 vanish like that? Experts suggested electrical failure, hijacking, terrorism, pilot suicide, or even external interference. Theories surfaced like foam, but evidence? None. The family's pain was visible. Cries in airports, candles in the streets, posters with the faces of children, parents, siblings, but no one had answers. The entire planet stood still. Newscasts in every language repeated the same enigma. How does a Boeing 777 disappear without a trace? Relatives gathered in waiting rooms. Some screamed, others prayed, some just stared into nothing. Authorities promised transparency, but behind the curtain, chaos reigned. Malaysia, China, Vietnam, Australia, the United States, all involved, all lost. Reports leaked, errors in the control tower, delays in communication, disinformation. Flight MH370 was no longer just a flight. It was a wound, open, pulsing, and still without a bandage. Months passed, until in July 2015, 1 year and 4 months later, a beach on Réunion Island in the Indian Ocean, a piece of a wing, covered in crustaceans and salt, alone in the sand like a forgotten memory. Experts confirmed it was from MH370. Other fragments appeared in Mozambique, in Tanzania, on the coast of Africa, but they were scattered pieces, as if the ocean only gave back what it wanted, never enough. The body of the plane, never found. The black boxes, never heard. The voices from the cockpit, forever silenced. With no answers, the theories came. There were many, and they all hurt. Terrorism? There was no claim. Technical failure? There was no warning, no sign of malfunction. Pilot suicide? Zahari, the captain, had simulated a similar route on his home flight simulator. But without evidence, everything became speculation. Military interception? Some believe the plane was shot down, accidentally, by the armed forces of a country. Remote control? Experiment? Hijacking? The hypotheses piled up like dust in a sealed file. And in the middle of it all, 239 families, waiting for something more than silence. In 2018, after years of searching the ocean floor, the Malaysian government declared, "We cannot determine with certainty what happened." an official report, but no truth. Many felt anger, others a deep exhaustion, as if they had been betrayed twice, by fate and by the system. The most expensive investigation in aviation history brought no body, brought no voice, brought no justice. And so all that remained was emptiness. The emptiness of the sky that gave no answer. The emptiness of the sea that hid. The emptiness of time that passed and took hope with it. How is it possible for a plane to disappear in the 21st century? With satellites, radars, sensors, how can something so big become invisible? MH370 was more than an accident. It was an abyss, one that exposed human flaws, and revealed how much we are still at the mercy of chance. Today, flying feels safe, but for those left behind, the sky was never the same again. Maybe the truth lies at the bottom of the ocean, but the ocean doesn't speak. It swallows and keeps. Maybe someone knows and stays silent. Or maybe some stories were made never to be closed. Maybe the ocean knows, but it never answers.
If I told you that I could give you the brain of a millionaire in the next 7 days, would you accept? If I told you that you could acquire this millionaire's brain and be propelled almost effortlessly towards a life of true wealth, click on the first link below to find out.